Hi everyone. As Chuck introduced me, I'm Imogen and it's lovely to be here. Today's talk is called Beyond the Chatbot, and it's really about one question. Where do we put AI on a website? Because I think most of us have been putting it in the wrong place, and that's myself included. I'm a product manager at Algolia on the front-end experiences team. So I work on the components and the widgets that developers like you use to put search and now agents in front of real users. So let's get into it. I want to start with a confession. You know, the little chat bubble that sits in the bottom right corner of nearly every website now? I don't actually click it. I don't even really see it anymore. My eyes just slide straight past. And on the rare occasion that I do notice it, I've already decided what it's for. It's for when something's gone wrong. My order hasn't shown up, or I can't log in. It's really a support thing. That corner of the screen has meant support for about 15 years now. And putting a shiny new AI agent there doesn't change what my brain expects to find. So we've taken this genuinely capable technology and parked it in the one place on the page people have trained themselves to ignore, or to only go to when they're really annoyed. And on the rare occasion that someone does click it, two things tend to go wrong. The first I think of as the blank page problem. You open the chat and there's an empty box that says, "Ask me anything." And your mind goes blank. Anything? Where do I start? It turns out that a wide open box is probably one of the hardest things you can put in front of a person. So you type something vague and you get something vague back, and then you leave. The second is amnesia. So picture me 5 minutes into browsing waterproof jackets. Not that I need them in this weather. I filter to my size and I've got a few open in my tabs, but I finally open the chat and it says, "Hi, how can I help you today?" Like we've never met. Everything that I've just done, all of that effort has gone. It has no idea where I've been. So here's what I've come to believe. And it's the whole point of this talk. And the problem, I think, was never really the agent. The models are pretty good. The problem is the entry point, the way in. When I say entry point here, I mean the moment and the place where someone first meets the agent. So right now, that moment is stop what you're doing, walk to the corner of the page and start from nothing. If you think about walking into a shop, the bad version is being shown into an empty room and told, right, describe what you want. The good version is walking in. Everything you might need is already around you. And someone says, "Looks like you're after a waterproof. Want a hand?" It's the same help, but a totally different feeling. The second version is what we've been building. And let me show you 3 things that we've shipped to get there. Move 1. We put the agent in the search bar. The search bar is the busiest spot on any site. It's already where people go the second they want something. So instead of making you hunt for the agent, we brought the agent to you. There's now an AI mode button sitting right in the bar. You click it, and you're straight into a conversation. And you might already know this pattern. It's the same move that Google's made. So there's nothing new to learn. Back to my jacket. The old way I type waterproof jacket, I get a wall of 200 results and I start scrolling. With AI mode, I can just ask, right, there in the bar, I already trust. But we can go further because asking a good question is still work. And this is one of the parts I'm most excited about: prompt suggestions. As you type, suggested questions appear next to the normal results. So I start typing waterproof, and one of the suggestions is, which jackets are best for hiking in heavy rain? Which is exactly what I meant, and phrased better than I'd have managed. One click, and I'm in the chat with that question already asked and the answer already on its way. That fixes the blank page problem completely. You don't need to know what to ask. You just need to recognize a good question when you see one. And recognizing is so much easier than starting cold. And these suggestions aren't a list someone's typed out by hand. There's a language model generating them live from your actual catalog. So it's models all the way down. Move 2 is about making the conversation actually worth it once you're in. So 3 quick things. First, streaming. It used to be that you'd ask a question and then stare at a blank white screen while the agent went off and did its thing. It felt broken. Now the results stream in as they're found, one at a time, the way every modern AI tool works. It's a small change, but I think it makes a big difference to whether the chat feels alive or frozen. Second is hidden context. This is the cure for that amnesia from earlier. The chat can now quietly carry what's on the page along with it. So that's the category you're in, the filters you've set. You never see it. It just rides along in the background. So when I'm on the trail running shoes page and I ask, what are the key features of these shoes? It knows exactly what these means. And the nice part for you as a builder is that there's no back-end work. The widget handles all of it. Third is one-click actions. So a chat that can only chat is a pretty dead end. You still have to leave it to actually do anything. So now we've made it so that you don't. Add to cart, save the item, compare it, all straight from the conversation. And that's so that the conversation actually goes somewhere, feels like it's going somewhere, so that instead of just pointing the user back to the rest of the site, it can continue the intent. So that's what we think good looks like from the shopper's side. And now I want to flip it around, because none of that matters if it's a nightmare to build, right? So how do you actually get this onto your own site? And move 3 is for you, the builders, and it comes in 3 parts. The first is just getting started. So this used to mean stitching together a handful of different setting screens. And now you'll see there's a single quick setup flow right in the dashboard. It walks you through step by step. So you point it at your data, you write your prompt, you choose your entry points, you switch on suggestions, and at the end, it hands you a snippet that you can just paste right in. The second part is templates, because even the best setup flows still leave you sometimes with a blank prompt to write. So we started shipping points for the common cases that we see at Algolia: e-commerce on one side and content and doc search on the other. You pick the one that's closest to what you're building, and you're tweaking instead of starting from scratch. And the third part is shipping it with confidence. There's a proper set of production controls behind it. So guardrails on what the agent will and won't answer, and also limits to keep your costs sane. I won't go too deep into it here, because this talk is really about the experience and not the back-end plumbing. But it's there, and it does mean that you can put this live into production without worrying. Let me take a step back. The thing really tying all of this together is a shift in how we picture the agent. So the agent isn't a destination. We see it as a layer. It's not one more widget in instant search fighting for the corner. It sits across the search experience that you already have. And it also inherits your look and feel. So it feels like your site's just got smarter and not like you've just bolted something on in the corner. And underneath that, search and chat stop being two separate things. Search is brilliant when you know exactly what you want. Chat is brilliant when you don't. And real people flip between these two all the time. And the interface should just let them, without it feeling like they've walked into a different room suddenly. Which brings me back to entry points. So if the agent is a layer, then every place where someone shows you what they want becomes a way in. The search bar was just the first one. We're now building the same idea into the rest of the journey. So let me show you the 3 that are coming. First is the product listing page, the PLP. And that's the page you land on after a search or a category click, the grid of results. The intent there is in the browsing itself, the category you picked or the filters that you selected. So we're surfacing an agentic answer right in that grid, responding to the question behind all that filtering, without making the user go anywhere. Next is the product display page, the PDP, that's the single product page. And the intent here is really sharp. You're looking at one specific thing and you've got very specific questions. Will it fit me? Is it actually waterproof or just water resistant? And what would I wear it with? So we put the suggestions right there on the page, the exact questions already running through your head. And the third is comparisons, because so much of shopping isn't tell me about this one, it's help me choose between these two. So the agent can lay them side by side and talk you through the differences, the way a good shop assistant would. And that's where we're heading next. The corner chatbot has taught us something valuable. It's just not what we expected. It taught us that users don't go out of their way to talk to an agent. It doesn't matter how good the model is or how clever the answers are. If the doorway is in the wrong place, nobody walks through it. But give them a doorway at the exact moment of intent, in the search bar, in the autocomplete, or on the page that they're already on. Carry the context through it, and they walk right in. And here's the thing, they don't even really think of it as using AI. They're just searching, they're browsing, they're deciding, with help that shows up at exactly the right moment. So I ask you that if you take one thing away from this session, make it this. Stop thinking about the chatbot and start thinking about the entry points. The question shouldn't be, where do we put the AI? It's, where does my user's intent show up and how do I meet it there? Ask that question of your own site this week. The search bar, the empty results page, the moment someone applies their third filter, the product page that they keep coming back to. Every one of those is a conversation waiting to start. Most of this is live in Agent Studio today, with comparisons and on-page suggestions launching by the end of August. So if you want to get your hands on the actual components, scan the QR code there. It takes you through to our documentation, to our widgets showcase, and there's a little agentic tab there where most of what I've shown you today is running around and you can poke at it yourself. So please go and have a play. I really appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Imogen. I love this talk. I love these patterns, and you definitely have some questions in the Q&A. So I'm going to get right to them. This first one I think is interesting. I think there's an answer beyond even the question itself. When looking at the future, shouldn't we build a new component where we combine the search and chat? I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to let you go for it.
Yeah, I think honestly, there's space for that in the future. I think what we're trying to do at this point is bring our users along the journey. And I think switching immediately from a general search bar straight into search and chat experience has some complexities in how users normally operate within a site. So what we're trying to do is make the chat appear on the page prominently and helpfully, but not let it kind of overtake the whole experience there. And then as we continue to, I guess, almost train the user into using the chat and this new AI, start to integrate the two. So we've talked to some customers about how the chat could interact with the page itself. So obviously with instant search, we have a range of components for a traditional search, so refinement lists, hits, etc. Because we're building the chat into the same library, we can cause them to interact. So we can enable filters or actions that the user performs in the chat to affect the page itself.
Right. And the one thing that you didn't see that I did was that question went in before you started showing how chat is being integrated into product detail pages and sort of how, not chat, the agent is being injected into these other pages and essentially permeates the whole site as opposed to thinking of it in terms of a particular widget or component.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh my gosh, there's so many questions. We don't have a lot of time. I'll try to get it to at least one more, but hopefully you can get to some in the chat as well.
Yeah.
How does the Algolia API get the website information? Do we need to feed the main host domain and API config? Do they automatically read the info on the fly to the end user visiting the page? How do the search results pop up over the website? Do we need to configure HTML elements, or does Algolia provide components?
There's a lot of questions there. I will link to our documentation because it contains a lot of information. So the widgets that we provide within Instant Search have all these capabilities like carrying the page context, etc. So there's no kind of wiring up that you have to do. The widget contains all this within it already. But I'll share documentation to that question, which I think could be more helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I think the important thing to remember is Algolia is always API first. The API is there. You can hit it directly. But our widgets are designed to sort of work very well with the API and complement them well. And then you also have the option of using other packages as well. I've seen people use the Vercel AI SDK, other components, but these particular components sort of are flavored by these patterns that we're seeing. So it means that you don't have to build them yourself. We've got other questions in here, but I think I'm going to have to leave them to the chat at this point. So thank you so much, Imogen.
Thanks, Chuck.
All right.